All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 2016 District Briefing. My name, if we haven't met yet, is Kevin Ross. I'm the Pacific Northwest District Chair. And on the unmuted side with me right now are Adrian Rimey, who is, she's actually running this whole thing this year, along with Susan Martucci, our volunteer coordinator. And so we're going to go through some of the details of what it is that you need to do to successfully land and operate at one of our districts, or actually two of our district events. So we will, this should take a little under an hour. Hopefully we're going to go through this as fast as we can. We do have a number of new folks here, so we're not going to shortcut anything because we do have a number of new teams. So with that, let's move on here. You were using the GoToWebinar software, obviously. This thing is going to move pretty quick. Your microphone is muted by default, so the normal way of asking questions is use the little question box that's on the right, is on the controls of your GoToWebinar software. Since you don't want to just sit and listen to me act the whole time, if we're not 100% sure what your question is, we may unmute you, so hopefully you may have a microphone. All right, we will post the slides and a recording of this for anybody who missed it on our website. So there you go. The agenda for tonight, we'll spend some time talking about what needs to happen before your event. We're going to talk about the pit area rules and restrictions. We're going to talk about what happens at the district events, and we're going to touch on alliances and making sure everybody understands the role of alternates. We'll talk about awards and how the judged awards move forward. District and championships in St. Louis, there are some big changes to how registration works for both of those this year. So if you're planning on going to the district championships or to St. Louis, you might want to stick around for that. We're going to tell you about the travel arrangements that we've tried to help with on getting to St. Louis and some other stuff that's going to happen. Okay, so that isn't so bad. Let's start out with team communications. We just wanted to make sure that all of the team leaders realize that we communicate to you, and we really need you to communicate what you think is pertinent to your teams. Don't assume that just because you got an email, everybody on your team got the email. That isn't actually how we work. We've been finding a few issues popping up this year with things not getting forwarded to the rest of your team. So if you please be sure to do that for us. We really would appreciate it, especially when it comes to how to arrive and depart the district events, because there are some specific rules and regulations about coming to our district events that you need to make sure your entire team knows how to follow. All right. The really big one is that parking is always kind of a hassle at these events when we're at high schools that are open for the day. So so we expect you to communicate all of that stuff to your team. We'd really appreciate that. And then we also need to make sure that your teams are hearing about volunteer opportunities. You know, volunteering with us is a great experience, and we want to make sure that your students have that opportunity. So we are asking your team to be ready to give us some volunteers from your student base. We need to man several areas during the day. Safety glasses is one of them. So we ask each team contribute a couple of students for a couple of hours. We're not asking somebody to sit there for the entire event, but we do have some folks that will come around and ask for volunteers to help us man those positions. We also are always looking for people to help around the practice field and doing field reset and queuing and ambassadors. There's a whole wide range of different things that are available to your students. And these are great opportunities for if you've got a large team and some of the kids would like to do more than just sit and watch. We'd love to have them. So if you've got any team members or students or parents that would like to sign up, go to usfirst.org/VIMS and select the events that you'll be available for, and we'd love to make use of your team members. All right. We did, so this briefing is sort of like the general 9,000 foot view. Each event will have its own information, and we stopped doing individual presentations for each event. It was just too much. So, but everybody who's attending an event will receive information and specific documents that you do really need to read through. It has a lot to do with everything from parking to how you actually show up, where you and all the important things that you need to know to have a successful event. So please be sure that the main contact for the team is going to get this. Please be sure to share that with appropriate members of your team, especially those who are driving or those who are responsible for load in and load out. It's very important to us. Okay. And then if for some reason somebody's looking for the information, you can also find it on firstwa.org. We have a event page for each event, and it's got that information will be up there. All right. We have one really important thing that you need to do. Is we call it our district event RSVP. For both of your district events, we need you to, so you need to fill this form out twice, please. So go to firstwa.org. It's actually, the link is down there, firstwa.org/FRC RSVP. We need to know the phone number of the on-site contact for each team, preferably the head mentor or whoever is in charge. We need your contact cell phone number, and then you also need to tell us if you want a table in your pits. If the default is no, so if you definitely need if you show up, you may not have a table unless you've done the RSVP. But we really need you to do the RSVP either way. It's important for us to be able to get a hold of you, and so that's our way of collecting that information for whoever's going to be in charge of your team on the day of the event.
And Kevin, can I interject? Because last year we actually had several occasions where we needed to get a hold of a lead mentor. And unfortunately through Tim's, all we had was their school phone number. And it did present a problem as we were looking and trying to reach out. In many cases, it was a team that hadn't arrived yet. In some cases, it was a team that was there. But it seems minor, but it really is important for us to have a mobile phone number of someone we can get a hold of.
Yeah, and so we promise that it's, we're not going to gratuitously call you, but we will call you if we absolutely need to. So all right. So straightforward, and you're welcome. These forms are available now. If you want to keep listening and sort of do that in the background, you're welcome to do that. Just so one person from each team with the main contact who will be at that event for each team is all we really need. Let's touch on bag and tag rules just to be sure everybody's in the, there's always a little confusion about this. Please read the rules. This is in the FRC rulebook. The rules are enforced, so we would appreciate your understanding it. So there are two events that you're potentially going to. The district events, which there are 9 of them, you're allowed a 6-hour robot access period the week of your event. So you're not supposed to open the robot up. If your first event is week 3, you need to wait until week 2 is done to open your robot. So you're not allowed to work on it before that. So again, check the rules. That was a little bit of a stumbling block for some folks last week. You do get a 6-hour robot access period each district week. Each week you compete at a district event. Now remember, the idea behind all of this is we want you to fix your robot and get it ready to go at your own shop. So the first day of your event, when you come in to a district event, is not final build day. It is not like regionals, so keep that in mind. So your job is to show up on the first day and to pass inspection, period. We don't plan on working on your robot that day. You can, but that's not the reason for that day. All right. Now, the thing that got a few people got into trouble last year was the district championships. There is no robot access period. So you're not allowed to open your robot between your last district event and the district championship. So keep that in mind as you're thinking about stuff. There is we are there on Thursday. We drop off on Wednesday night for the district championship. We are there on Thursday in the morning, and so there is time for you to work on your robot. In fact, there's about 6 hours, and that's why you don't get the robot access period. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. What that does mean is that you need to bring a bag with you to your last district event to tag the bag and tag that thing. All right. So hopefully that was clear. How are we doing on questions, Adrian? Anything so far? I'm not looking.
We're good.
All right.
Yep. Everything. I think I've been able to. How many bags are we allowed for bag and tag? We have just very few extra bags, but most people are able to reuse their bags multiple times. So you should be able to open the bag and reuse it.
When we say
we are getting
a
couple questions.
Sure. When we say open the bag, by the way, we mean cut off the security tie and carefully open it. Don't cut your bag open. So anyway, what was that, Adrian?
Oh, Wade, we'll answer that question offline. I don't know the answer to that, but you and I can email. We have a couple people asking when they can open their robot up for the week 1 event. So that would be a good question to ask or to answer. So for next week, at what point can they open it? Saturday, Sunday? Do they need to wait until Monday?
It's supposed to be the week of, so Sunday's fine. But they don't want you opening it up. If you're a week 3 event, you're not supposed to open the robot this week. Actually, I'm gonna defer you to the rules. I'll let you read the rules and interpret them. And because I'll be honest, I can't quote that rule off the top of my head, but there is a rule on that, and so go ahead and check that out. I don't know the exact answer. Okay. Yay. I think we're good. 7 days before the start of any 2-day event. That is the rule. So that's what Matt has proposed. And I believe that is actually the case. So again, I'll let you guys, you read the rules and interpret them yourself. That way I don't get into trouble by being wrong.
And guys, yeah, keep in mind, some of these things we don't answer because, you know, with everything we're doing, if there's been a rule change, it's your job to know the rules. And so we're not going to answer something. We want to refer you to the rules so that you see the information directly from FIRST, not Kevin's interpretation of it or mine.
Yeah. They let me do lots of things, but making up new rules is not one of them. Okay. So some of the rules for the kingdom this year, we most of our events are around 40 teams. The Western Washington events are all 40 teams or 38 to 40 teams. There's I think Philomath is actually our only small event this year. So keep that in mind if you have a very, very large team. That you may not. There are limits on how much room and space that we actually have. So if you can split your team up, if you've got like 80 or 90 kids on your team, then those teams exist. You might think about splitting them up a little bit. We leave that up to you, but we're just giving everybody a heads up. When we have a 40-team event, most of these venues will sit probably 1,400 to 1,600 in actuality, but we also have about 100 volunteers. So keep that in mind. All right. So all of our venues this year, you can bring your own food and water, excluding the district championship, and we'll have more information about that if you make it to the district championship. And as always, this is also an outreach event for all of us, for the FIRST community. And so we do have schools and classes that will be visiting our events. And so we do occasionally need to keep those people together for security and student management. So remind your teams to please be gracious if we need to ask them to move over to make a large block for a school to sit together. We don't want to have the case where we've got a room full of fifth graders or who are not supervised. So we appreciate that. And by the way, if you have invited a school or a large group, large being say more than 20 people, let Adrian know about it. We're happy to accommodate those folks, and we just would like a little heads up that they might be coming. So appreciate that. Also, we'd appreciate it if you would also let Adrian know about any special needs. We have ASL interpreters, American Sign Language interpreters for hearing disabled folks. And if you've got anybody in a wheelchair, just let us know. We'll make accommodations appropriately, but it's just helpful if we know about it up front. Appreciate that. Okay. This year will be interesting. You're all familiar with the game. I'm so excited for the game this year. I think it's going to be probably one of the funnest games we've had in a very, very long time. I will point out that there is a lot of complication on our end on running this game. We don't know how it's going to run. Normally I could, we've got enough experience that I can sit there and go, yeah, I get how this one's going to work. This one has got so many complex things going on. We're excited and we will make it run properly, but there may be a few clunks, especially the first couple of weeks until we figure out exactly how to do this. And we're going to run late the first week. Just plan on it. We apologize. We published a schedule. That was our best guess when we put all of this together before we had seen the game. We still have those schedules. The schedules are valid and they reflect what the day's schedule should look like. But we're going to be late. There's just no doubt about it. There's just too many things going on. So thank you so much for your gracious professionalism. Week 1 and week 2 teams, by the time we get most of the way into the season, we'll probably be pretty good at this. So thanks for that. All right. And again, we may need to update our schedules just based on experience. We really honestly don't know what's going to happen. Okay. It's going to be fun though. This is such an epic game. All right. We do have a few laws that we need to throw down. Please don't show up early to the high schools where we asked you not to show up early. That we have a number of teams who are quite notorious for this, and I wouldn't want to point out. I won't point out the Skunk Works or IRS or those folks who routinely show up very early because they're excited to get there. But the reality is that we just can't have you showing up early. That it screws up the transportation and our plans for the day. So each event will have a team briefing. Those briefing papers. It will tell you what time what the earliest time you should be planning on pulling into the parking lot is. Please help us out and don't show up an hour early. All right. So good enough. I think you get it, but we get in trouble with the schools every time this happens. All right. Let's talk about the pits. Your team has a 10 by 10 pit space. Especially this year, many of our venues are going to be much fuller than they have been in the past. Please don't set up in the aisles or the walkways, or you may find out that there's an extra 2 feet of space behind you just because of the shape of the room. We'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't expand out beyond 10 by 10, because then once you do that, everybody else starts doing it. It kind of makes a mess. So you have a 10 by 10 pit space. Don't get bent out of shape if we come tell you to put yourself back in there. All right. Remember that we are on basketball courts. Please don't damage the floor. Do everything you can to minimize that. So if you've got pit decorations or cabinetry or those sorts of things, please be sure that they are sitting on something that's not going to scratch the floor. We do have our tarps that we put down, and those generally do a reasonable job, but they will not withstand sharp points. Okay. If you have to, if we really would like it if you would bring something to pound on. Everybody ends up having to pound on something at some point during the day. Like a 2 by 2 by ½ inch piece of plywood is great. We don't want you pounding on the tarp, because that tarp is like 10 millimeters or 10 is 0.1 inches thick, 10 mil thick, and so it's not going to protect the floor. All right, and also your wheels have to be 3 inches in diameter. If you haven't built a cart yet, try and get 5-inch wheels. There still may be an occasional cable crossing, and the 3-inch wheels, they don't really negotiate those very well. All right. How many on questions, Adrian? Anything?
So far, so good. We just had one popped out. Is there a way to get a hard line to our pits that would show video of the matches? I guess I'll let you handle that since you're the video king.
Absolutely. So what we are attempting to do, we are going to try a new system this year to get video into the pits, and so we hopefully can do a better job of that. Running a hard line is difficult, but we have a plan. So we may end up watching the stream. So hopefully my answer to you is yes, we've got it solved. The reality is we haven't actually tried it yet. So I guarantee you we will try hard to make that happen. All right. So power in the pits is limited. And so as always, we're asking you to be very, very miserly on the amount of power that you use. So we kind of allocated 400 watts per team. Generally, we've done great. This is our third year doing this. We really haven't had very many problems with people overloading the power. So thank you for that. The biggest nastiest things are lights. And if you're using LED lights, you're in great shape. That you can get a 60 watt bulb, a 60 watt equivalent bulb only burns about 8 watts. So awesome. Don't plan on bringing air compressors or band saws or table saws or anything that big. We just don't have power for you. Okay. Now this year the field takes an enormous amount of electricity. We have to use 3 20-amp circuits to run it. We are going to be really nasty about this. Do not plug anything in the room that the contest is being operated on. There are outlets probably all over the place. We are consuming almost all of the available power. And so if we find something plugged in, I don't care if it was your iPhone, we don't care. We're going to confiscate it. You can have it back on Saturday night. So you've been warned. Please tell your students about this one. We just really hate confiscating things. So this includes battery charge, anything. We just can't plug extra things in and out there. So there you go. That includes your scouting laptops, folks. So make provisions if you need to use a scouting laptop, make provisions to charge it without using the power that's in the gym. All right. So before you come to the event, here's what we need you to bring. Bring a 15-foot extension cord and a 40-foot extension cord. 16 gauge, 14 gauge, doesn't matter because you're only going to do about 400 watts on those. Bring at least one power strip for yourselves, and then something to pound on. Please label both ends of your extension cord with your team number so that we can, if we have to track down a power problem in the pits, it's a lot more. It's way more efficient for us to be able to look down at what's plugged in and tell where it goes. So we really ask you to do that. Okay. The other thing you need to do is, as always at all first events, you need to bring your team roster with all of your STIMS information for each of your events. You have to bring these to each event. Okay. And if you have people who were unable to do STIMS, you'll have to have handwritten consent forms for each of these events as well. Okay. You also should have your robot lockup form as you walk into the building. So please figure that one out. Make sure it's there. So here's a nice little list. We'll end up sending you this list again each week before the event. So at least that's the plan I just came up with without asking Adrian if she would do that, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. Okay. All right. Now I'm looking to see if our dear friend Erin McCallum is here, and she just got made into a panelist. Thump. And Erin, has a microphone.
I am.
Hi,
Hello.
Erin.
Hi.
So, here's your slide. Ready? Ka-ching.
Okay, so Kevin mentioned earlier in the evening that we will need some student ambassadors and volunteers. We've done this over the last couple of years across all of our district events. Thank you very much for participating, and I think a lot of the team members are very anxious and interested in participating. We're doing something a little bit different this year, and I actually think it will draw further attendance, but we need your help in identifying 2 student ambassadors to represent your team. We will have a meeting the day 2, so really the first day of the competition at 9 a.m. And please check site-specific information on where to go. We have extended invitations to a lot of companies all across Oregon and Washington to come, and we've invited their employees and their families. So we may have people, we should be having people trickle in both Friday, Saturday, or Saturday, Sunday competitions, depending on the district event. So looking forward to this. The objective is to pair up some of our guests with student ambassadors and let the ambassadors give them an overview of the competition, and then also walk them through the pits and have a chance to hear from teams in what they're learning and why it's so great to be part of FIRST.
And Erin, can I add, if there isn't anything in the site-specific information, to check with pit admin when they register, because it could be that we won't know the meeting place until we arrive on site to set up and for load in.
That would be perfect.
Wonderful.
Oh, Erin, here's your next slide.
I'm happy to talk about this too. Okay, so we've been building our alumni program over the last couple of years, and you know, FIRST Global has been doing this as well, but all of you really are the hub of your alumni. So we came up with, I think, a really great idea where we are going to celebrate and recognize alumni, whether they are part of Oregon or Washington, or they may be out in our states or from Alaska, and they might have been on a team from Indiana or Illinois. We want them to come and to the most closest district competition, and we are going to celebrate them right immediately following lunch on the Saturday of the competition. Now, what this means is we want them to come down to the field so we can recognize them, and then we will give all of our alumni a patch that says FIRST Alumni that we have purchased, but there is a caveat, and this should be a positive caveat for all of us. We want them to go to pit administration and register with their preference of point of contact, whether it's an email or a cell phone, so that we can get in contact with them to get them re-engaged with their teams, or a team that is close by to their home or workplace, or participate as a volunteer during one of our competitions. So please spread the word. We sent out some communication yesterday to our alumni steering committee, as well as our alumni ambassadors from all of our teams across Oregon and Washington, but please help spread the word. So thank you very much.
All righty. Well, thank you, Erin. So let us talk about alliances and awards. So all of our events will culminate in elimination rounds, where the top 8 teams will select 2 alliance partners, and when you do the math, that's 24 teams will compete in the elimination rounds. Now, we always need 3 teams to be on standby as alternates. And so if you are the next highest ranked team, or 2 or 3, we'd appreciate it if you wouldn't pack up just yet. And in fact, we've had cases where the next in line actually took off and we had to take the second in line, and they ended up moving on and that team missed out. So we don't want you to miss out on your legitimate right to a spot to move on. So please keep that in mind, that even though you may not have gotten picked for alliance selection, please understand where you are in the rankings so that you can be ready to compete in the event that somebody is disabled and dies or whatever. Okay, so that's really important. And then the other thing is, especially for the rookies, the awards ceremony is important. It's a part of the judged awards. We do all of the awards on Saturday. It's really lonely when we're standing down there and we announce a team and the team has gone home. So even if you're not doing well at the contest, it may turn out that you are actually eligible for some of the awards. So we'd love for you to make provisions to stick around for the award ceremony. And so that's all part of being part of the first communities. Be there to cheer folks on, and who knows, you may win an award. Happens every year. Somebody takes off early and they miss out on their big chance to go through the award line. Okay. There are some other awards. Dean's List. If you have submitted Dean's List interviews, or Dean's List submissions, we are doing interviews. They'll be on day 2 of your event, which if it's oh, Adrian, I always screw this up. So if it's if you're competing on a Friday, Saturday event, the judging is on Friday. If you're there on a Saturday, Sunday event, it's Saturday, right?
That's correct. Day 1 is load-in. Day
Yep.
2 is the first day of competition. Day 3 is the second day of competition. So if you're a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it will be on Friday. If you're a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it will be on Saturday.
Perfect.
Did I say that right?
Yep. Okay, and we will let the main contact know which event your students are going to get interviewed at.
And actually, they have already been notified.
Oh, yay. Look at that. Awesome.
We're efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. You can check in with PID admin if you need details about that. Now, just so everybody's aware, each district event advances 2 Dean's List nominees to the district championship as semifinalists. What that means is that we will be sending a total of 18 students on to district championships. Now, everybody will get, all of the nominees will be recognized at the event where they're interviewed, and but they are not required to go to the district championships to actually move on to Worlds. So if your team is otherwise not going and the student does not need to re-attend district championships as a solo person, they're welcome to always. Everybody's always welcome to come to district championships, but there isn't a requirement for them to go. They 5 of our students from across the Pacific Northwest District will become Dean's List finalists, and they will be eligible to go to the World Championships in St. Louis. So, yay for that. All right. Any questions on that one? All right. Come on, go move forward. Now, the other thing that we just want to be sure of is that Woody Flowers Award nominees are acknowledged at one of the events where your team is competing at. So we usually do a standing recognition for all the nominees. The actual finalist, and there's only one, will be announced at the Pacific Northwest District. And again, the nominees are not required to attend the district championship event. Honestly, we just so everybody's aware, the district itself, we are not responsible for the judging of that. This is done by the Woody Flowers panel, which is headed by Woody, and it has all the previous winners. So that this is your attendance at the event or not is immaterial. You will be that person will be selected regardless of whether they attend or not. Okay. Yay. Yep, I'm on the right one. All right, now just some of the other stuff that we want to make sure and touch on. The team rankings. Team rankings are your team ranking is the accumulation of the points from your first and your second event. The team rankings are posted on the US First website, and we have no control of that website. It's FRC-district rankings at firstinspires.org. So that is where the official team rankings are. If you find some rankings or results or something on our website or on Oregon's website, those are they're not official. So the only official place to find the rankings is at that link right there. All right. All of our events will be live streamed, and we will put up a link on the Washington First Robotics website, firstwa.org. We'll probably put it up on PNW First as well, and I'm assuming that whoever that Bruce is probably going to put it up on not Bruce, Bob is likely to put it up on Oregon First as well. The links may change between weeks. We're going to try a couple of different vendors in terms of streaming. So if you're looking for it, that's where to find it. All right. And whoops. Hey, look at that. It turns out my scroll wheel moves the slides forward. Advancing the district championship. 64 of our 158 teams will advance the district championship. This year it will be 9 teams based on winning a district event chairman's award. The other 55 teams advance based on their total district point ranking. So the point rankings are quite important. New for this year, if you do make it to the district championship, your event fee has already been paid. So, and just to make sure everybody's aware, there is a $4,000 extra registration fee that does not go to us. It goes to US First or to First in New Hampshire. The Pacific Northwest District has paid that on your behalf this year. You saw a little bump in the fees. For some of the teams saw a bump in the fees a little bit this year to cover that, but there is no additional fees due for the year all the way through the district championship. So yay for that. So you don't have to scramble to figure out how to pay that in a big hurry. That was our goal. All right. Now there is a new process for the registration. And I'm going to let Adrienne talk about this because she is in charge of this.
So because we have such a truncated time between our last event and district championship, we now have a different registration process because frankly the first registration process just takes too long. So for those of you that win chairmans, Monday morning, I would say by 9 a.m., you will receive a survey link from me that is your registration link for district championships. The rules are the same as far as you need to register and make payment arrangements by Tuesday. You will receive an email that will actually give you the appropriate instructions for our new process. And actually, Kevin, if you want to go to the next slide, it actually is just kind of a preview of what the survey will look like.
Okay, and let me make one correction to this part of the step. There is no fee due. That's the next step.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking worlds. That's true. So for district championships, you just need to register prior to Tuesday after you qualify.
Yep.
For all of those teams that are qualifying after the week 5 event, you will receive this registration link no later than 9 a.m. Monday after week 5, and we need you to fill out the registration link. When you fill it out, you will have an option of getting an email confirmation. I suggest that you click that you would like that email confirmation so that you're aware that the registration has occurred. It is my goal to register or to send this link to some teams after week 4. That is based on the district ranking system provided by First. I can't make any promises, but it is my goal for those teams that we know have qualified mathematically. I'm going to try and do it ahead of time. If you do not get this link and you feel you should, please feel free to email me. I think by this point everybody has my email address, and we can look into it. Again, for district championship, the payment's already been made, so obviously we don't have to worry about payment arrangements. I just need everybody to register by the Tuesday evening after you've qualified.
And I will point out, this is the entire form in its entirety. So
this
it's like the fastest
registration. This is the entire form.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Now the other thing for you guys to know is once you've filled out this form, and you will receive something from me, you are registered. We're piloting this new system with First, so I know everybody has noticed that you're not always showing paid, you're not always there. TIMS does not always reflect the correct information, and that's because this is brand new with First. And so if TIMS doesn't reflect that for a short period of time, don't panic. Email me if you're concerned, but once you've filled this out and get an email confirmation from me saying you're in, I've got you taken care of, you are good regardless of what TIMS shows.
Yeah. So we should all feel very proud of the fact that that First is having us lead the way on some new ways of doing things. So they trust the Pacific Northwest District to try experimenting with a few different things that hopefully will make life easier for folks in the future. There is a little bit of clunkiness that occasionally shows up, as you've all have seen, and most of that has to do with the fact that we're doing things differently than how First does it. With First Blessing, we work with them a lot on this, but their IT systems don't necessarily match up with the processes that we are experimenting with. So we thank everybody for their patience on all of those sorts of things and putting up with some of the clunkiness that shows up. But the whole rest of the country, the people who are running districts are watching what we are doing very, very closely and are all thinking about trying to implement something similar. So we are leading the way, folks. All right, so advancing to Worlds. So we have 30 spots at the World Championships in St. Louis this year. Advancing to the World Championships, 3 Chairman's Award teams. And I'll point out these are 3 Chairman's Award teams. It is not first and second and third place, right? So
That's
2
correct.
engineering inspiration teams, again, 2 full-fledged engineering inspiration teams, and then we have 1 rookie all-star team that will be going. 24 other teams based on your total district qualification points. We're also sending our 5 Dean's List finalists and our 1 Woody Flowers finalist. Okay, now for this one, there is going to be a $5,000 registration fee. The difference this year is that you're actually going to be sending the payment to Washington First Robotics, and we will take care of aggregating everything and sending that over to First. Again, this is a slight change from what the rest of the country does. It's part of a new field model that First is having us try out. So thank you so much for your participation and occasional indulgence with our any clunkiness that might show up. Dean's List and Woody Flowers finalists, there is no registration or participation fee. However, your travel expenses are on your dime. Engineering inspiration teams may be eligible for a $5,000 grant from First. We are not responsible for that. Washington First Robotics is not. We believe it's the same deal as always, but I make no promises until First tells me that we absolutely positively have that. Have you heard anything about that, Adrian? I haven't heard today.
I have not heard anything about that. I will check and I'll put it in a team blast.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll check with Lori on that. Usually, I think it's BAE Systems has been giving that $5,000 grant, or was it NASA? Somebody was.
It was NASA.
Yeah, and we are assuming that it's there, but we don't know that for a fact. Okay.
It was NASA.
It was NASA. Thank you. All right, and registering for World Championships. Adrian, go ahead.
The registration process will be very similar. As long as the district ranking software is working, which we had a problem with last year, we'll actually have a computer and you can register right at Pit Admin afterwards. And then you will also receive an email from me by 9 o'clock Monday morning, probably sooner, but definitely by 9 o'clock Monday morning with the registration survey. And this is where we will need payment arrangements by 5 p.m. Tuesday, the next day. And keep in mind, the payment arrangements are exactly what FIRST requires. So look on the U.S. FIRST website to understand what payment arrangement system is. And we
However,
are accepting.
The difference being that the payment is actually going to be coming to Washington First Robotics and not to FIRST.
That is correct, but we accept purchase orders. There's letters from sponsors. There's different ways to secure payment by Tuesday. I know that panics people to think, oh my gosh, I have to pay right away. There's several options, and it doesn't mean that you have to have the cash money to us. And the payments that we accept are the same as FIRST, but as Kevin pointed out, they do need to come to Washington First Robotics. And again, if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask me. I have a question. Will you get FedEx documents at District Championship? I sure hope so, because it was a pain for me to have to overnight them to everybody. So as long as the district ranking system is up and running and we know who is advancing, we should have those FedEx forms, and our intent is to hand them out at District Championships to all the teams that are confirming that they are moving on to Worlds. If you don't know, then we will hold on to them until you confirm so that we can give them to the next team in line if you decide not to attend.
Okay. We hope everybody gets to go. All right.
Yes, we do.
So this year we have 150 seats from Seattle to St. Louis, and 50 seats from Portland to St. Louis. Portland, yay Portland! Alaska started flying direct between Portland and St. Louis, so they were. So we have taken on that responsibility of finding 50 tickets, which means that we need 50 of you to actually buy them. They're actually fairly reasonably priced, considering that you're buying tickets at the last instant and for a direct flight. So. Here they are.
The process should be on the next slide. The process
yes, there it is.
Access them.
So the process for that is, go ahead, Adrian.
Okay, so it will be the same as we've done in the past. The difference is that I'm using a survey form rather than emails. You will get the survey link sometime on either Saturday night or early Sunday morning, and at 9 a.m. you can fill out the survey with the seats that you're interested in. Right now we are still, for the teams, we are asking that you only we're only allowing 5 teams to, or 5 students or adults, 5 tickets to fly out Tuesday. So you can request up to 5 on Tuesday, up to 15 on Wednesday, or a total of 20 tickets. For Oregon teams, you can request a total of 20 tickets. All of your tickets are flying out the same day. And we will hand them out on a first-come, first-served basis. I'm going to ask in the survey if you're interested in additional tickets, so that as we go through the list, we can see if there are teams that want more. If we have extra tickets, which we did last year, we are happy to give you more. So I will get back to everybody probably prior to 11 o'clock that morning, letting you know what tickets you have. And then later that afternoon, I will, for the second wave of people, if you're hoping for some additional tickets, I will have more information for you that afternoon. This is kind of a work in progress. Once you've been given your tickets, we actually turn everything over to Alaska Airlines directly. We found it takes them 2 or 3 days to process the spreadsheet that I send them. Then they will contact you for payment to find out the names of the people traveling and everything. They've worked really well with us the last several years and done a great job, and we're just very appreciative that they do this for us. Did I cover everything?
That's everything. So So my computer won't progress. Oh, okay, there we go. No, oh, I'm getting a weird thing on my screen. There we go. So that's not it either. There it goes. Okay, so just if you've got any questions, you're going to contact Adrian Rimey, arimey@firstwa.org. And if you have any questions about volunteering, Susan Martucci, Susan@firstwa.org, is the contact there, and she deals with all of the volunteers for all of the events at some level, and she is if you would like to have your students get involved or your parents or whatever and have questions, you can contact them. All right. Hey, look at that. We finished with 6 minutes to spare. Feeling really good about that. With that, thank you all for doing this for your kids, and thank you to all the students for participating. We're hoping that this is a positive experience for everyone. There's a lot of stuff to deal with in the first world, but we feel it's very, very much worth it. Okay, with that, I think we are done unless there are any questions that you would like us to answer. We'll probably stick out here or hang out here for a little bit answering questions, but aside from that, we are done. Thank you all.